They lied on you. They whispered your name in rooms you weren't even in. They turned against you like you were the villain, when all you did was shine. But what they didn't realize was they were playing right into God's plan. You weren't rejected because you were weak. You were rejected because you were chosen. And when you're chosen, you don't get comfort, you get calling. You don't get applause, you get warfare. But let me tell you something. Everything they did to destroy you only built you. Every lie pushed you deeper into purpose. Every betrayal trained you for elevation. And now, you're about to rise, right in front of the ones who counted you out. This isn't just your comeback. This is your confirmation. So don't scroll past this. If you've ever felt alone, misunderstood, or spiritually attacked, this message was sent straight to you. Hit that like button, drop a "I'm chosen" in the comments, and subscribe right now, because this is where your rise begins. 1. You were always marked, even when you didn't know it. Let's be real. From the earliest days, you just knew something was different about you. It's almost like you walked through life with invisible ink on your soul, a mark that set you apart, even when you didn't have the words for it. Maybe you were the quiet one, or maybe you were loud and creative, but either way, you noticed things others didn't. You sensed when the energy in a room shifted. You picked up on undercurrents that everyone else seemed to ignore. Where others followed the script, you asked, why? It wasn't that you wanted to be different. In fact, there were nights you wished you could just blend in. You tried to go with the crowd, to bury your quirks and mute your intuition, but it never really worked. No matter how hard you tried, your soul couldn't shrink to fit a box it was never designed for. What you saw as a curse was always a calling. The world labeled you too sensitive, too intense, too much. But that was just code for chosen. You weren't put here to fit in. You were put here to stand out, to see what others miss, to feel what others numb. But here's the part no one told you. Before God brings you into your purpose, He sets you apart. He cuts the ties to what no longer serves you. Friends start acting strange. Family feels distant. The invitations dry up. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The frequency of your soul started rising, and suddenly, the people around you just couldn't vibe with that higher energy. So if you feel alone, misunderstood, or isolated, take heart. You're not being abandoned. You're being elevated. 2. Why the whole town had to turn against you. Let's call it what it is. This wasn't some random, isolated drama. It was a wave, one person after another, like dominoes falling. At first, it felt like a misunderstanding. Maybe one friend grew distant or started dropping your name into conversations you weren't invited to. Then suddenly another turned cold. Someone you trusted twisted your words. A family member, the one who promised to always have your back, started to doubt you too. And before you knew it, people you barely even spoke to were side-eyeing you in public, whispering behind your back, acting like they knew your whole story. You probably lost sleep over it, replaying moments in your mind, asking, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth nobody talks about. When you're called, you trigger people who are still sleeping on their own purpose. Your light agitates their shadows. Your courage stirs up their fears. You don't even have to speak. Just being authentically you is enough to make people uncomfortable. So what did they do? They gathered quietly at first in small circles, maybe at someone's kitchen table, maybe on social media, maybe with just a look exchanged across the room. They whispered, they speculated, they tried to erase you with rumors and shame, like if enough voices said your name with contempt, it would strip you of your power. But what they didn't understand was this: they were never in control of your destiny. Their rejection was actually redirection. Every time they plotted, gossiped, or shut you out, they were unwittingly driving you deeper into purpose, pushing you toward people who truly saw your value and preparing you for blessings you couldn't have imagined. They thought they were burying you, but they were just planting a seed. And when God plants a seed, what comes up is always stronger, bolder, and more beautiful than before. Remember, sometimes the crowd has to turn against you so you can finally turn toward the call that's been waiting for you all along. 3. The divine setup. What they meant for evil, God used for good. Let's take it back to one of the most powerful stories ever told, Joseph in the Bible. He wasn't betrayed by strangers, but by his own blood. His brothers, blinded by jealousy, threw him into a pit, left him for dead, and sold him into slavery. At that moment, Joseph's world shattered. He lost everything: his home, his freedom, his family. To the outside world, it looked like his story was over. But God was just getting started. Fast forward years later. The same Joseph, once counted out and abandoned, became the one who would hold the keys to his entire family's survival. When famine struck, the world came to Joseph for help. The very brothers who betrayed him had to come to him for mercy, and Joseph, moved by purpose, chose forgiveness over revenge. That's divine reversal. So, what does this ancient story have to do with you? Everything, because the pattern hasn't changed. When you're chosen, the enemy always tries to sabotage you at the root. He uses the people closest to you, the betrayals you didn't see coming, the abandonment that shook you to your core, the exile that made you question if anyone would ever have your back. But in every moment you felt alone, you were actually being led into a divine setup. Every backstab toughened your spirit. Every lie forced you to find truth inside yourself. Every season of isolation stripped away the distractions and made you lean into God like never before. While they were laughing at your pain, God was writing a comeback story. While they mocked your dreams, God was upgrading your vision. While they tried to damage your name, heaven was building your legacy. And here's the kicker, none of it was wasted. The very things they hoped would break you became the exact things that made you unbreakable. What they meant for evil, God used as the strategy to bring you into your purpose. So, if you're in the pit right now, don't panic. If you've been left out, betrayed, or misunderstood, know this. You're not being buried, you're being planted. And when God is behind the setup, the outcome is always a comeback. 4. You became what they couldn't control, so they tried to destroy you. Let's talk about the real reason you were targeted. It was never your mistakes. It was never your awkwardness or imperfections. The real problem was your freedom. The freedom that radiates from you every time you walk into a room, speak your truth, or simply exist without apology. In a world addicted to masks and people-pleasing, you were the one who dared to be real, and that scared them. Your authenticity was a spotlight, and it shined on everything others wanted to keep hidden. When you spoke your mind, it exposed the lies they told themselves. When you grew, they saw their own stagnation reflected back. Your willingness to evolve forced them to confront the parts of themselves they tried to ignore. That's why it wasn't enough for them to ignore you. They had to try to silence you. They couldn't manipulate your spirit, so they targeted your reputation. They couldn't cage your mind, so they tried to isolate you. Every rumor, every side eye, every cold shoulder, these were desperate attempts to box you in, to force you to play small. But here's the powerful part. You didn't shrink. You didn't apologize for existing. You didn't water yourself down for their comfort. Instead, you kept showing up. You kept shining. You kept saying, "This is who I am and I'm not going anywhere." That's what makes you dangerous. In a world built on control, where most people are terrified to step out of line, you became proof that there's another way to live. You became a rebel, not by breaking rules, but by refusing to be anything but yourself. Your spirit refused to be tamed. Your light refused to be dimmed. And deep down, even your critics recognized the power in that. You made them question why they settled for so little. You made them wonder what they could become if they dropped the act and chose authenticity too. That's why they came for you. Not because you were weak, but because you were untouchable where it truly matters, in your soul. And no matter what they did, you never let them win. You chose freedom over fear, purpose over popularity, and authenticity over approval. That's why you're still standing, and that's why your story isn't over yet. The spiritual purpose behind the pain. Let's get real for a moment. How many nights have you lain awake asking, why me? Why did you have to endure the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the moments when you felt so alone it was hard to breathe? Why did life seem to put more weight on your shoulders than you thought you could carry? Here's the truth most people miss. Your pain was never pointless. Every tear, every disappointment, every night you spent wrestling with doubt was a chapter in your training. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you for a calling bigger than you ever imagined. See, the fire you felt wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to forge you. God was stripping away what didn't belong, old habits, toxic relationships, self-doubt, so your true strength could emerge. Like gold in the furnace, every trial burned away the false so the pure could shine through. The universe doesn't waste pain. Every person who lied about you, every friend who left, every family member who doubted you, they were unknowingly working for your good. They became the sandpaper that smoothed your rough edges. They pushed you to pray harder, to go deeper, to find purpose, even when the world gave you none. In their attempt to break you, they actually woke up your greatest power. Without those hardships, would you have learned to stand on your own 2 feet? Would you have developed the grit to pursue your dreams when nobody else believed in you? Would you have cultivated the wisdom and empathy that now make you a light for others? Pain was your spiritual boot camp. It taught you who you are and who you're not. It taught you to depend on God, not on the approval of people. It gave you a testimony, not just a story. So the next time you wonder, why did I go through all that? Remember, God doesn't build warriors in comfort. He shapes them in the fire. Your pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now you are ready to carry blessings that will not break you, but reveal your true, unstoppable self. 6. What your survival says about you. Let's take a breath and really think about this for a second. Pause the noise, the doubts, the old stories people have told about you. Just look at your life, the setbacks, the betrayals, the seasons where everyone counted you out, and then look at where you are now. The simple truth? You survived. Despite everything stacked against you, you're still standing, you're still breathing, and even more, you're still growing. They tried to break you. Some people went out of their way to sabotage your spirit. They spread lies, they shut doors, they celebrated your struggles, and they waited for your downfall. Some of them were even convinced you'd never make it through. But guess what? You did. Not only did you survive, but you evolved. You learned lessons no book could teach. You found strength inside you that nobody can steal. You uncovered parts of yourself, courage, vision, wisdom, that only adversity can reveal. Here's what people underestimated. When you're chosen, really chosen, the world's weapons can't take you out, because it's not people who put purpose on your life, and it's not people who can take it away. When God places an anointing on someone, there is a covering, a spiritual shield that no amount of gossip, envy, or sabotage can break. You're not still here because you're flawless. You're here because you were preserved. You were kept safe in the fire so you could walk out carrying proof that favor isn't fair. God chose you to be the evidence that a higher hand is working behind the scenes. Every scar you carry is a sign of survival. Every comeback you've made is a message to anyone watching. Purpose can't be cancelled. You are living, breathing evidence that God's grace is stronger than people's opinions. You are more than a survivor. You're a trailblazer. You're more than a target. You're a testimony. Every day you keep moving forward, you're making it clear. No setback, no betrayal, no storm can erase what God has set in motion. So wear your survival like a crown, because your presence here, despite all odds, is the greatest proof that destiny isn't decided by crowds, but by the divine. And your best chapters are still being written. 7. The mirror effect. You were never their enemy. Here's a revelation that changes everything. You were never truly their enemy. You were their mirror. It sounds almost unbelievable at first, but think about it. When you stepped into a room, your presence triggered something deep inside people. It wasn't your confidence, your ideas, or your success that bothered them most. It was the way you reflected back the parts of themselves they worked so hard to hide. You brought their unlived dreams into focus. Your courage made their fears undeniable. Your truth brought their regrets to the surface. And that, for some, was just too much to bear. You became a walking reminder of what was possible, of the roads not taken, the talents they'd buried, the pain they never healed. For many, it was easier to project their discomfort onto you than to turn inward and do the real work. Rather than face the mirror and acknowledge what needed to change within, they chose the shortcut: defensiveness, gossip, exclusion, even outright attack. But here's the power move. Don't let it harden your heart. Don't pick up their bitterness and carry it as your own. They were never your true enemies. They were, in a strange way, your teachers. They taught you resilience by forcing you to find strength in solitude. They taught you boundaries by making you recognize what you will and won't accept. They taught you discernment, so now you can see through false smiles and hollow praise. They taught you how to walk alone and trust your own spirit, no matter how loud the crowd got. You gained skills, wisdom, and spiritual depth you never would have found in easy seasons. You discovered that your worth isn't tied to their acceptance, and that sometimes walking alone is what makes you unstoppable. So forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Let go of the bitterness, but hold on to the lesson. They gave you a gift wrapped in discomfort that taught you who you really are. You're not here to be a reflection of anyone else's fears or failures. You're here to shine light, to inspire, to heal, and to live as proof that the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, will always set you free. Remember, your mirror made you a target, but your wisdom now makes you unbreakable. 8. The rise after the fall. Your time is now. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey when it all finally makes sense. After the storms, after the heartbreak, after the long nights where it felt like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling, clarity starts to dawn. The chaos that once threatened to swallow you whole begins to reveal its purpose, and suddenly you realize you were being prepared, not punished. This is the part where you rise, not in secret, not in silence, but boldly, right in front of the very people who doubted you. The same voices that tried to silence you will now be witnesses to your elevation. The rooms that once held your name in whispered rumors will be the same places where your name is now spoken with respect. You're about to receive honor where you were once humiliated, recognition where you were once rejected. And it's not about revenge. This is about revelation. God didn't forget you. He was just taking time to build you from the inside out. True greatness can't be rushed. Your character was being fortified, your spirit was being deepened, and your gifts were being refined. The delay wasn't denial, it was divine preparation. When you rise this time, it won't be a fleeting moment or shallow applause. You'll stand solid, rooted in truth. Your purpose will be your foundation, and grace will be your armor. Every scar will be a badge of honor, proof that you endured and conquered what was meant to destroy you. This isn't just a comeback, it's a total transformation, a revelation of who you were always meant to be, a confirmation that destiny always wins out over doubt. So let go of the past with gratitude, not regret. Embrace the spotlight, not with ego, but with humility and awe for what you've survived. Your time is now, your rise is inevitable. And your story, one of pain, perseverance, and ultimate purpose, is about to inspire others who are still waiting for their own sunrise. Let the world watch. This is your revelation. And it was always meant to be seen. So if you've been wondering why it all had to happen the way it did, why they turned on you, why the doors closed, why the pain felt so personal, now you know. It was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. God was never punishing you, He was positioning you. You are not a victim of your past. You are the proof that favor can't be faked and purpose can't be stopped. You were chosen for a reason. You were protected for a season. And now it's time to rise. Don't wait for everyone to approve. Don't shrink to fit in. And don't look back trying to understand people who never had the capacity to see your worth. Look forward, because your rise isn't just personal, it's prophetic. So stand tall, walk boldly, and own your story. The same God who brought you through the fire is about to elevate you in front of the very crowd that thought you were finished. Your breakthrough isn't coming, it's here. Your time is now, and nothing can stop what heaven has already ordained. If this spoke to you, share it. Someone else needs this confirmation too.